Hi there, and welcome to Durham Student Experience podcast, where I'll be chatting with current Durham University students to find out all about their life at Durham. Today, chatting with me, I've got Matthew. So, hi Matthew, would you be able to just introduce yourself and tell me your name, your degree subject, your year, and your college?
So, hi, I'm Matthew. I'm from St Aidan's College. I'm a fresher. I study combined honours in social sciences, which is history and politics, and I'm originally from East London.
Perfect. So, you just mentioned there that you're from East London. What
Yep.
made you choose Durham University and to move quite far away from home?
Well, the thing about Durham is coming from London, just a bit more personally, coming from an area so built up as London is as a city to Durham, which is you're still in the city, you're still around people, but it's not nearly as busy. People aren't on top of you all the time, and Durham's really nice for if you want to, for example, go for a walk by the river, go for a walk through the countryside, you can literally just go and do that straight away. Whereas is in London, for me, that's definitely not as easy to go and do. So that's really nice about Durham. Of course, Durham's reputation really stood out. The history department is one of the top in the country. It was when I applied, it still is. The politics department is really good as well. And also for my course, because I wanted to study history and politics. I know at other universities, there were certain course restrictions around this. So, for example, if you did history and politics, you had to take one early modern, one medieval history module, for example. Durham, you don't have to do that. With the combined honours course, it lets you pick, as long as you can timetable the modules together and you're able to get onto them, you can pick anything. You can make a really flexible course. And that's something that really stood out to me. So yeah, that was what went through my head.
So, how do you find Durham as a city itself?
Durham is utterly beautiful. Going to see Durham for the first time for me on my open day, it was just like, wow. Walking the streets, going up to the cathedral, seeing Palace Green, and now actually living there, it's a really inspiring and beautiful place to live. And I kind of miss it right now being at home, actually. On top of that, Durham has like some really good entertainment things. It has different bars, different restaurants, different clubs. A lot of the things in town are often small chains or self-owned. There's a really nice restaurant in town called Spags, for example, which is a self-owned Italian place that loads of students go to and recommend. It's just got that really small, intimate community feel, which you get in Durham as a city, but you are immersed in part of a city, a town with so much culture and history. So it definitely feels like a city and not just a campus to me that we're lucky enough to inhabit and live around. And it is one of the most beautiful cities in the UK, I'd say. I'd say actually, if you can, just have a look around Google Maps around the city. And of course, it doesn't recreate, for example, sitting in my college, St Aidan's, and having a view of the cathedral. But yeah, the views in Durham are incredible. Yeah, it's really inspiring.
So, you mentioned your college, which is St Aidan's College. Can you tell me a little bit about how you found living in college during your first year at Durham?
Living in college, I'd say, is very different. It's a very different environment and place to what I've lived in. Like for me personally, it was the first time I'd ever moved out, and I was moving in. There was 300 people from all over the country, all over the world, different backgrounds and so on. So it was very different. I met a good group of people in college, some really nice people in my corridor who just on the first night knocked on my door and just introduced themselves and asked me to come up with them and go to the bar and just have a talk. And from there, we struck up a really good friendship, and then different friends I've made from there. I think one of the best bits about college is that you can literally knock on a mate's door and just, if they're in, go and have a chat, which is quite unrivaled. I could text my mate, which I often would do, and say FIFA question mark, and then 20 minutes down we go down to our JCR, play games of FIFA. He'd probably win more than I'd like to admit, but it's still really, really good fun. You could just be in the JCR or our common room and have a game of table tennis with someone, have a game of pool with someone, go into the canteen, sit with different groups of friends in the evening. So there was a really nice social aspect to college.
Just
Yeah,
out of curiosity, did you put St Aidan's as your preference college, or were you reallocated to St Aidan's?
I was actually reallocated to St Aidan's. I initially applied to St Chad's College, but I've really grown to like Aidan's, and I'm not bitter at all.
Would you give any advice to someone who didn't necessarily get the college that they thought they wanted?
I'd say, regardless, your university experience is what you make it. If you want to speak to people at that college, have contact with them via UniBuddy, because there's loads of ambassadors from different colleges across the university. Each college has its own experience. You can still partake in things like sports and so on, and you can make the most or as little at college if you want. If it doesn't really take to you, you can just use college as a base, as a halls of residence. But what Durham really does is it makes college so much more than that. So there's so many more things you can take from it regardless. So even if you don't get the one you want, I'd still make the most of it.
Just to talk a little bit more about St Aidan's. So St Aidan's is a fully catered college. How did you find being fully catered? Is it something that you liked?
Well, my parents said when I got allocated St Aidan's, that you're done for. There's no way you're going to be able. You're so fussy with your eating. There's no way you're going to be able to survive in a catered college. But I did it. It was like some of the food in college was really, really nice. I was happy. I didn't go hungry. I ate college food almost practically 3 meals a day, every day, apart from when I slept in by breakfast. But hey, it's university.
Are you planning on living out of college next year or living still in college?
Well, next year, actually, I'm living outside of college, and I'm living with six out of the 7 people I'm living with are from Aidan's. And it's like a really nice group of people. They're a group of guys from all over the country, and then one person that someone has on their course is joining us to make it a 7-man house. So I think it's really good. I know the guys already well. They're really nice guys, and that's something that college has been able for us to do. And it means that we got to know each other before we signed the house, and we were comfortable living with each other and knowing each other as people.
Do you think that through college it's given you more opportunities to get involved with different things? Have you been able to do any extracurricular activities through college?
Yeah, I'd say I am arguably the least talented footballer in the world. My parents say I have 2 left feet, and yeah, I'm not very good at it. But because of college, I'm able to play week in, week out for our D team. There's a really nice group there. Get games every single week against the different colleges. The colleges have leagues between them. I think there's 5 or 6 leagues between the various colleges. So it means I'd be able to play regular football and do regular training as a result of being part of our college team. So there are loads of things people don't really miss out, I'd say. And there are, apart from football, there are loads of other sports I've been invited to take part in, loads of other societies. I'm the treasurer for our college's classical film society, which we just started up recently, which is me and a group of friends have set up, and we've held events in college. So yeah, there are loads of different college societies. Aidan's actually really supportive of people trying to start up their own society. So I know one of my friends went and started up a floorball society in college as well, just before COVID hit. And that was another society getting off the ground. But there are loads and loads of college sports.
That's really interesting to hear how you managed to set up your own society as well. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you managed to do this and the process behind it?
Well, the process behind it was our president. The president of the society is really active, and he's really, really good. So what we went and did was he went and put together a proposal form, and then you need, I believe it's 12 members to sign on and say, I would be a part of the society. I think this society is a good idea. From when that's done, you bring it to a JCR, a college meeting. The JCR is like a student organisation who exists to better the university experience of students. So we brought it to there, we had a vote, there was a vote, and it was passed with no opposition. So then we were an official college society, and that means we can apply for college funds and so on to book out college rooms.
It sounds so positive how you were able to do that with a group of people who were interested in the same things as you as well.
Yep, it was a group of people. I'd say we were all friends already, but we've brought in people from outside the original group who have done that, and even people from other colleges have come along to our showings now. So I think it's really, really positive, and we've got scope to grow that. Actually, at the time of recording, I've got a meeting this week online with the rest of the exec about the society for plans going forward. So it is definitely on the grow.
And did you say that you were treasurer of the society?
I am the treasurer of the society, yes. That's the first time I've ever been treasurer of a society at university, and specifically in a treasurer role. So it's a good experience to get under my belt, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. And building up those skills to put on your CV when you leave university, it's a really good way to do that.
Yeah, in Durham, because you have college societies and you have university societies, there are loads and loads of ways to actually do that. I've taken part in debating quite actively, and I've taken part in the Durham Union Society as well. One really nice memory I've had of that is from a massive West Ham fan. I got to meet our current manager, David Moyes, just before he became our manager. So I currently have a signed David Moyes shirt in my room, which was quite surreal. I've seen like former diplomats, former political leaders, and really influential figures talk. I'm currently the speaker secretary of the society. So we've helped to put on some really well interacted events this term with the president. And it's some really unique things you wouldn't get to do otherwise, and to hear from some really interesting people, and just be in such close proximity to them, which you wouldn't get to do otherwise, and hear some really interesting topics being debated.
Really, really interesting to hear the range of different things you've been able to get involved in, even just in 1 year.
Yeah, Durham definitely offers that, and there are loads of things depending on different people's interests. I don't know many people in the university who do exactly the same things.
And having just come to the end of your first year at Durham University, can you tell me a little bit about how you found Freshers Week and then going into the first few weeks of term, and how you maybe settled into Durham University life?
Well, if I'm honest, I'm not someone who massively goes out. Like, I don't drink, anything like that. I know the JCR did put on loads of different things as well, but some evenings it was nice to just sit and chat with people. The reps who are students from the second and third year, some of which I've become really good friends with since, but were really, really supportive through this. And it was just a really nice, friendly atmosphere. For example, when people went out, I remember there was a night that they took us to Newcastle, and they were escorting people everywhere, making sure everyone got home safe and everything, which was a really, really nice thing to have, really.
And I think Freshers Week is something that a lot of people find quite daunting.
But it was a big change for me as well, because I didn't know many people from my area I didn't know anyone who had been to Durham in the last 10 years or so. And I found a couple of people from my area since, but there were still not that many people from my area. So it did take a lot of adjusting. It was different, as I'm sure any university across the UK is, but it did take some adjusting. But I did have, for example, the friends in my corridor to talk to, different reps. I didn't need to use this, but there's college welfare on offer for people to speak to. And I feel a lot better about it now, because whilst there are bits of Durham that aren't for me, there are parts of it and people that are for me and that I've been happy with.
If you now look back and reflect on your first year as a Durham University student, what would you say would be your favourite memory?
Oh, that's a tough question. One memory I really, really enjoyed was what I've done since going to Durham is I've gone to a couple of Newcastle games. And what I did was I went with one of my friends in college, and we went to an FA Cup game, and he's originally from South Korea, so it was his first time ever at an FA Cup game. And what we did was we went in with the away fans, and it was Oxford United versus Newcastle. And the tickets, I think, were £5 each. And we just went and did that. It was a really fun day at the top of the Gallowgate end in Newcastle. And that was really fun. Within Durham itself, I went to a Formwalk Castle that was like surreal. That's something I would have never imagined myself doing. 5-10 years ago, being in the castle wearing a gown. I sent a picture of that to quite a few of my friends back home, and they were like, wait, what? You can do that in Durham? Also, I've had some really good memories of college football. As I said, I'm not the most talented player, and when we got our first win in what seemed like months, that was a really, really nice occasion. And then when the next week after that, we won the game, I think it was 5-0, which was a really, really enjoyable afternoon. We did then get relegated, but hey, let's not talk about that. The highs were good, the lows not so much. But yeah, there were a few really enjoyable memories. Just something else that stands to me though is just sitting in the JCR in college playing FIFA till the early hours of the morning, or just sitting in one of my friends' rooms having a talk for ages. Oh, actually, another one would be in Durham, we have this system called college parenting. I've got two really nice college parents and a college brother in my old year, because both my college parents are third years. Well, they're now graduating, and they've been really good. We've stayed in touch since. We've had a couple of Zoom calls where we've just watched Netflix together. But we did a family dinner, and we just sat, ordered Dominoes, and watched Peaky Blinders together at one of my college mum's house, which was really, really nice. And then the memory of doing my college proposal this year, because some people go really extravagant with it, and without getting into too many details, I just thought, yeah, why not? And I did a quite an elaborate college proposal, and that was really, really nice.
So I'm sure a lot of our listeners are a little bit intrigued right now. If you would like to, can you tell us a little bit more about this elaborate college proposal?
Yeah, okay then. I'll say a bit about it. I was speaking to my college mum about it, because what she'd done was she'd done something with some roses and to her college wife, and it was really nice. They were married by the JCR president. So I was like, oh, okay, roses. Interesting. So what I then went and did was I got like 500 fake rose petals. I got one of her friends who was in on it to take her out of her room, and then just kind of trashed her room with it. And then I just went and proposed to her like that. Oh, and for a ring, because she's vegan, I got some vegan sweets and used that as a ring. It was quite funny. She really, really liked that.
I think the college parent system is something that is really integral to Durham University in the support they can offer to students.
Yeah, my college mums have been really, really good. And I was really, really lucky. So my college mum was really nice. So for example, when she had events around her house, she'd always invite me and so on, which would give me ways to meet people in the second and third year. It was really, really nice, and a good support network from the beginning. And hopefully I have some nice college kids next year.
So you are a combined honours student. What made you choose combined honours, and what do you think is the benefit of having lots of different aspects to your degree programme?
As long as you have a dissertation pathway and its timetables, you're really, really free in what you want to choose. So for example, I enjoy studying modern history. Cool, you can do that. If you're interested in, for example, studying one region, so for example, studying the Middle East, you want to study history modules and politics modules on the Middle East, yeah, you can do that. It gives you a really good broad framework to really pursue your interests. Have subjects from at least 2 different departments. So mine are from history and the School of Government and International Affairs, which has politics and international relations modules. So I have modules from there, and this year I took a geography module, but I'm dropping that for next year.
How did you find the jump from A-level to degree level study?
So I'd say the difference between A-level and university is the structure. In A-level, I was always working towards these exams at the end of the year, apart from a few bits of coursework. So it wasn't, I'm working towards this thing 2 weeks next Tuesday. It was, I'm working towards this thing at the end of the year. In university, I've got a practice essay due on the 14th. I've got a summative due on the 21st. I've got a summative due on the 28th. How am I going to manage my time towards that? So it's far more set towards certain goals at different points than revising throughout the year. I know I didn't revise until much later in the year, whereas I was revising from early in year 12 during my A levels. The psychology of how you think and how you work is a lot different. I'd say living out at Durham, as most people do, is very different as well. Because in sixth form, I know I have my friendship group We'd go, we'd walk to school together, we'd walk home from school together if our timetables mixed up, and that was it. And you're within the common room, within the sixth form environment, you see the same people every day. University, you don't. It's a much bigger city. So I'd be walking the streets and say, oh, hi, how are you? Seeing people I know, seeing my friends out, but it isn't, you're not in the same close proximity with people. Even living around college, you're not in the same lessons as people all the time. If you've got a seminar, that's an hour a week instead of having 9-10 hours a week sitting next to the same people. So yeah, I'd say the psychology is different.
Okay, so just broadening it out into Durham City itself, do you have any favourite places to visit or hidden gems of places that you would recommend for people to visit in Durham?
Well, apart from the sports complex to play football 2+ times a week, and the football court in college, because I'm slightly football obsessed, my favourite places to go. I really enjoy walking by the river. There's the river in town, which surrounds the island in which the cathedral is on. But then if you follow that round past Hillbead, one of the colleges, there's a really, really nice quiet walk that takes you out towards main castle, the sports centre, which is really, really beautiful. Again, walking through the woods really close to university are really nice. You've got views all of the countryside, and from someone who's grown up 18 years in London, while slightly weird, it is really, really nice to do. Within the city itself, I really enjoy the centre of town. Is really, really nice to walk through. I may be impartial to a Greggs or Seven. Going out with my friends can be really nice. Also, just the train station, going different places, going up to Newcastle. I had a train ticket booked to go up to Edinburgh before coronavirus hit. I can't think of the name of the complex, but there's areas with different nightclubs and restaurants in, which are quite nice. And I definitely, now I'm living out next year, would want to see more of. Lumiere was a light festival they held this year, which was just incredible. The city was completely transformed. They had tourists come from all over, but for example, a statue in the middle of town they turned into a massive snow globe. I can't even describe what was done to the cathedral. They'd put a massive light show on the outside the cathedral, and similarly to the outside of castle.
If you could choose 3 words to describe Durham University, what would they be?
Oh, that's tough. I'll say because of the things that I would have never thought I would be doing anywhere else, I'm going to say very unique experience.
What are you most looking forward to over your next 2 years at Durham?
Well, one thing I'm really looking forward to next year in the short term is moving into the house with my housemates and just, spending more time seeing my friends, experiencing the city and the northeast more. Booked to go and see a concert, which has now been pushed back to this time in second year, which will be really nice. Just things like that where I can actually get out and see things.
Just to finish off, if you could turn back time and give your pre-university self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh, another tough question. I think I'd say do more social things, like say yes to more things, because especially as it's your first year and it doesn't count to your degree, there are chances that I've been offered that I just haven't taken up. Where looking back, I wish I had taken up, because I think earlier in the year I was either procrastinating too much when I was revising or doing readings and making myself do things in the evening, or I was focusing too much on things when I didn't necessarily need to do as many readings or something, or I could have prioritized better. That meant I missed out on doing certain things when I wish I hadn't, looking back.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to this podcast, and thank you so much to Matthew for taking part. I hope this has been useful for you to hear all about his experience of Durham University and some of his favourite things about Durham.